Hi, are you struggling with building your unified namespace and having some troubles with Sparkplug B versus flat MQTT? Well, it appears you're not alone. Hi, I'm Jasper from Mastery Solutions, and we specialize in building the best factories in the world. I want to clear out some misconceptions there might be about Sparkplug B versus flat MQTT in the unified namespace. Who am I? I spent the last 3 years helping companies to implement unified namespace. I do this with the architecture that's provided by Walker Reynolds and 4.0 Solutions. I definitely recommend to go to their channel and check out everything they have to say about the topic. In a nutshell, the architecture enables event-driven communication for manufacturing. The challenge that I come across often is that on the one side you have unified namespace where everything is functional, is business data, and on the other hand you still have your people in the plant that need to know on what PLC is this happening. So that's a bit of a tension that you have there, and the question arises, do we need to use just flat MQTT or do we use Sparkplug B MQTT to build our UNS, or do we use both? And I would say use them both, and use flat MQTT to build your UNS and use Sparkplug B to do more your plant level device management. So the goal of this video will be to explain the difference between flat MQTT and Sparkplug B so that some people maybe get some value out of it. So why is it that Sparkplug B is not ideal for business data? There are two main reasons. One is you have the strict topic structure that you need to follow, which is group, node, and device. And node is always your edge server. That's how it's built. You have your edge server, and then you have your device, and your device can be a PLC or can be a smart sensor. But that in itself is quite restrictive, because then you only have two levels above that. So you have your group and your node name to play around with, and that's your entire unified namespace. In many cases that's not enough. Definitely if you have a big enterprise, you have a lot of levels and you have a lot of layers in your unified namespace, and you need the flexibility the unified namespace need to be flexible in that sense that it can adapt to your business and not be restricted to 2 levels and then all devices. And also it's hard to publish data on your device or your node level from other applications. For example, your ERP cannot just publish anything they want on a Sparkplug B device, because that device is the owner of all of its metrics. So what does that mean? It means the device is the only thing that can create metrics. So it says I have all of these sensors, I publish that, and yes, you can write back to this metrics that I define, but you cannot define metrics for me. So a Sparkplug B device does not let you define metrics from outside your edge node or outside your device. Then why would you do your business data in flat MQTT? Because it offers the flexibility that Sparkplug B is missing. It allows you to publish on any level, and it allows you to have many topics, which allows you to go very deep. But then on the other hand, you have the need to manage your devices, to know which PLC is online, which are offline, and that's not possible with flat MQTT, because flat MQTT does not do that. So when you publish on flat MQTT, you cannot know if it's offline or online, because the device might just stop sending events, but it can still be online. And that's something that Sparkplug B is much better for. So for the device management, the strict topic structure of group, node, device really helps you out there. It also enforces everyone to use that to manage the devices. And the group level is mostly enough to have some sense of where you're going. This is also this is on a plant level, so the people that will work on your devices are also on the plant probably. That's a bit of a more narrower use case than a whole enterprise UNS. And what's also very well made in Sparkplug is the write back to devices. So it handles that very well if you want to write back to one of your devices, which flat MQTT it is possible, but you have to think of something that will look very much like how Sparkplug B has implemented it. Sparkplug B just has a great way of managing your devices. You can see which device is online, or you can also see which edge node or edge server is offline or online, which is a great added value for device management. Sparkplug B, it gives you a way to have a hierarchy that is really physical based. For example, you have plant, line, which could be your edge node device, it could be at line level, and then you have your PLC, and under your PLC you have all of your tags that are in a PLC. So you would have all of these values, and in my experience, it's not because you have it on one PLC that it is specifically for one part of your business. For example, if you would have a molder, it could well be that PLC, there is one PLC for a molder that also does a different step of the process, because the PLC is capable of maybe more inputs than that molder has. So that's important for maintenance people to know on which PLC everything is running on. With the Sparkplug B structure, you will be able to control that. So that was a bit of background. I'd like to cover way more, but if you guys are interested in maybe videos about how to store this data in a scalable way, or how to scale this architecture across multiple sites, definitely let me know. Maybe it would be a good idea for a next video. Now that you understand why we publish both Sparkplug and MQTT, let's see a demo on how to actually do that using Ignition. In this demo, we show how we publish both device data to Sparkplug B and both fill up the unified namespace. So here you see there are multiple tag providers. So we have Sparkplug, we have the UNS, and we have our MQTT engine and MQTT transmission. What I'm doing here first is I'm browsing my devices. We have a simulator device set up and we just import it. So now it is in our tag provider, and here you can see all of the values. So this is quite typical when you import all the tags from a PLC. It's not saying that much. Like it's could be very cryptic, very much like this with some codes maybe. But if you show this around your company, probably only automation will know what these codes stand for, or even the machine builder only. But no one in the company knows mostly of what these signs in your PLC are. But it's good if you have an issue here, then if you know it's at F8 0 and you know the address and you know everything from your PLC, it's very easy for somebody from automation to know which sensor is maybe faulted, which one is broken. So that's why we just keep it as it is in the PLC. We don't convert it, we just send it over Sparkplug B. You see after creating that, we go to MQTT transmission, we send over all the tags, and as you see here in MQTT Explorer, you can see I've set it up as plant 1, edge line 1, and then underneath that we see our PLC. So you would see here every PLC that's maybe in line 1, you could use a different group name or a different node name, but that's for this example. So then we go to another tag provider, which is UNS. here is where we really have our important business data. And let's build one. So we're building here the chocolate company, for example. And underneath that, you would see we're adding a plan to that. And under a plant, you have a line. And then depends a bit on how your company is built up. But under your line, you could have a process. So if it's a big production line, you have different processes of the production step. For example, in this chocolate company, we would have a molding process step, and we add here one UDT, which is a molder, and we just have one parameter. It's a reference path to our PLC, and it asks given the PLC. Luckily for us, it's very easy to configure this one, but it could be harder if your PLCs are not good copies of each other. And here you can see now we've added it, molding, molder, and we have values, they're changing. And you can also see here we're using specific names for our tags, which indicate T is for temperature, PV is for process value, SP for set point. So that could all be important information. And now you see here, this is a script we made to publish the values on MQTT. You can trigger this by in gateway events. We go to tag change. I'm creating this one again. So every time a tag changes, this will be triggered. We call it UNS publisher. And here we can also define with a pattern which tag paths need to be triggered on. And now we will execute that function every time a tag changes in the UNS. And this one has been tested on millions of tags. It's very lightweight. Ignition is not worried about a lot of tags in here. And you see it now in our MQTT Explorer. You can see all of the values. You can see the chocolate company in there, and you can see all of them. You also see the Sparkplug B values. They're not as readable, and you can also see it in ignition back. So if somebody else would publish here in the chocolate company, you would see on your molder, you would see all of the tags. Of course, in here we have them published as a JSON, but there is actually something we can do about that in ignition. So we'll log in here. We have to go to the namespaces, and there we have our subscription on everything. We go to JSON payload, and then ignition will parse the JSON payload. So if you would have something that gives a lot of values in one JSON, ignition has a way to handle that. So if you delete the tags that are coming in here, you see them reappear immediately, and they're coming in now as a folder, and in that folder we have the JSON that is parsed, which looks kind of nice, and it gives you the ability to use the values that you have in your unified namespace immediately and as a reference tags, or if you want, immediately in a dashboard. So yeah, I think that's a nice functionality.